Hi there, everyone. I'm Michelle.
I'm Jim, and we are A Teague of Your
A Teague
Own.
of Your Own. Welcome to another Motivational Monday.
Let's get motivated. Woohoo!
Woo-hoo! It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. And it's a great day to have a great day. And you're somewhere different.
I am somewhere different.
Oh, interesting. Part of the adventure and changes that are coming up for us. You've got a different background, and that's okay. It'll be fun. So lots of cool things happening. In fact, later on this week, on Friday, we have our complimentary webinar for the month. Do you remember what it is?
I do not.
Developing the leaders around you. And it's going to be the first in a series. This will be, I want to say lessons 1, 2, and 3. So a good one, especially if you have teams, if you have a bunch of volunteers that you try and lead, if you've got people on your own team that you want to develop them and their skills, this would be a great webinar to jump on. So go to the website and click on the events tab, and you can find the link to register there. Lots of fun stuff happening in our lives. And I just did a presentation last week on who is in your boat. And when I say who is in your boat, what do you think of?
What do I think of?
Mm-hmm.
I think of when you talk about who's in your boat, it's the people who are helping you as you row down the river or row across the lake or the pond or whatever body of water you're talking about. Yeah. So it's people who are helping you, and obviously, they're helping you, but you're also helping them.
Yeah. So this was a presentation that was based on DISC. And for those of you who don't know what DISC is an acronym that stands for 4 different behavioral and communication and leadership styles. Mm-hmm. D is for like the driven and the dominant people. I is for the influencing and creative types of people. S is for the steady and very sincere people. C is for the compliant and the conscientious people. So with DISC, you can figure out what people's strengths are. You take a DISC assessment, which we've been doing DISC assessments for years.
Long time.
Yeah. And you can tell what people's strengths are. And when you've got this team, like I said, you've got this team of people in your boat, and they're helping you get to the other side, whether it's the other side of the river, the other side of the lake, whatever. You don't want to be going around and around in circles because nobody's steering the boat. You need to have a plan of action. You need somebody to say, we need to go that way. You need somebody actually, rowing the boat itself. You need people there to cheer you on and let you know, yes, you can accomplish this. You need all different types of people on this team. And so the question is, who's in your boat? Who's on your team? And when you take a look at DISC, it helps you figure out, do you have a balanced team? Do you have people who are on your team that have different areas of strengths as opposed to everybody being able to do the exact same thing well? So I thought this would be a really good topic for us to talk about, because you have always had the idea that it's better to hire somebody or to pay somebody to do something that you are not good at. So why do you subscribe to that particular theory?
The reason I subscribe to that theory is because, well, that's what you see with successful organizations, successful companies. They hire the people they need to do specific specialized things. And, I also subscribe that idea in your personal life when it comes to things like home maintenance. the reality is you've got a skill set that allows you, hopefully, to be able to go out and make money.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than spending your valuable time where you could, take your time and go make, $500 an hour, $1,000 an hour. Don't spend that mowing the lawn that somebody will do for you for $50,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe if it's a really big lawn and they're doing landscaping and everything else too, maybe $100, $150. Okay. You spend your time doing the things that you do well. And I understand, I get a lot of blowback on this one, especially when it comes to lawn maintenance, because some people, they just enjoy doing it. Yes. Fine. If that's what you want to do, be my guest. But hear me now, believe me later. When I tell you that there are other people out there who are much better at it than you are,
mm-hmm.
It's what they do for a living. And your time is better spent doing the things that you do best. That's how you're going to serve people best. Okay. Now, again, I know, like Michelle, she likes to mow the lawn. Well, she likes it as long as she can be on a riding lawnmower mowing a big yard.
That's correct.
Yes, yeah. That's it. But when it comes to the detailed stuff with the lawn and she wants nothing to do with that. Well, neither do I. I don't enjoy it. I've never enjoyed it. And I'm not going to have to. The next time that I cut a lawn, that will be the last time that I will mow and cut a lawn. See, I feel like I have to do it one more time, and that will be it. I am never, hear me now, believe me later, never going to do it again the rest of my life. I will pay somebody else to do it because I do not want to do that. Same thing with like housekeeping. There's a reason that you have people that it's not because they're lazy or because they're snooty or whatever. They pay somebody to come in and clean their house for them because that person will clean it better than they can at a fraction of the cost of what it cost you from spending that time cleaning your house when you could be getting speaking engagements, coaching somebody, doing some trainings, providing a lot more service to the world. And that's the way it works. Okay? And think about these companies and organizations that hire you to do those sorts of things. It's because they don't want to have to, either they don't want to have their own in-house training people because it's expensive to maintain a training team. It's much easier if they can bring you in from outside. Plus, the other thing that happens, and we know this, is when you have your HR people or your training team conducting the training internally, most of the people who are going to go through the training, it's not going to get through to them. And that's because they don't see those folks as being the experts. Right. They work for the same company. They're just like you. Okay? Whereas you bring in that outside person and they're going, oh, this must be an expert. And until you show them that you're not, which hopefully you don't, they're going to assume that you're an expert. You're able to provide a lot more service to the world doing that. Plus, then you don't have to do these menial tasks. Again, there's people, this is what they do for a living. Let them, pay them. They become part of what's your boat. They become part of the people in your boat because you'll get to know these folks eventually over time.
And it's not just that. I mean, it's not just people who run training and coaching businesses. It's anybody. If you are an entrepreneur, if you are a small business owner, you need a team of people to help you because at some point in time, you're going to realize you can't do it all.
Right.
And the reality is your time is better spent doing other things. So you need to take a look at what you need help with. We use DISC assessments to help highlight to people where their strengths are. We use it to help them see this is what you're really good at. This is where you need to focus. Find somebody else to round out your team who are going to be good in other areas. Prime example is accounting and bookkeeping. I know you used to teach finance. You taught finance for almost 25 years. Mm-hmm. And finance is very different from accounting. I mean, I taught accounting for 11 years. But when it comes to bookkeeping and accounting, that's a very different strength than running a business.
Yes.
and doing sales, or even being an HR person. I mean, it's a very different skill set. It's a very different strength. And so you want to make sure that you have somebody on your team who has those strengths, because that will take that off of your plate. It will give somebody the ability to be able to do a much better job at it than you ever dreamed of.
Mm-hmm.
And it frees you up now to do what you truly need to do. And that's what more people need to look at, is who's in their boat, who's on their team.
Right.
And more importantly, are they doing the right things based on their strengths?
Right. How are they contributing to what you're doing? And what you will find is, as you get to the point where you can start scaling your business, you're going to need more people in your boat.
Yeah.
That's the thing that ends up happening at some point, is you have to start writing, having a lot of checks that you are signing the front of the checks instead of the back of the checks. You'll sign backs of checks as well.
Yeah.
And that's going to come from your customers and your clients. But you're also going to have to, at some point, sign the front of checks. Mm-hmm. And, always struck me as, that would be fun. Especially if you've done things right and you've got the money coming in to make sure that you're going to sign those checks, and the check will actually, clear the bank, which is what you want them to do.
Yeah. Well, and you need the support. You need a team to help you to succeed. The more people you have in your boat doing what they do well, the more successful your team and your organization is going to be.
Yep.
Because everybody's doing what they do well.
Yeah. So every entrepreneur who's ever managed to, grow their business into a huge enterprise, they realized very early on that they were going to have to continue to bring in more and more and more people.
Yep.
Until sometimes you get some of these companies that they've got millions of employees.
Right. Yeah.
And in order to grow, they just have to keep adding to them.
Yeah.
Putting more and more people in the boat.
And they need to have the right people. They need to have one of the books out there is called Good to Great, and Jim Collins wrote it. And he tells you that organizations are like buses, and you have seats in the bus, and each seat is for a specific position. And so you have the president or the CEO of the company who's driving the bus, because they've got the vision, they know where it's going. And so they're driving the bus. And if the bus gets a flat tire, they will turn to the person who's in the mechanic seat and say, hey, we got a flat tire. Could you please go fix the flat tire? The problem is, if you have somebody in that seat who is a drill press operator, they're going to look at you and say, I don't know how to change a tire. I operate a drill press. Or if you have somebody in that seat who's a cook, they're going to look at you and say, I have nothing to do with changing tires. I cook. You need to make sure the right person's in the right seat. And that's where DISC can help you, is you can make sure that you're putting people in the right role and giving them tasks that focus on their skills, as opposed to just trying to fill somebody in that seat and not really paying attention to if this is going to play to their strong suit or not.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So when it comes to that, what are some of the things that people can do? Because when we do DISC, one of the things that both of us have access to is there's actually an assessment that you can do with DISC that I know a bunch of HR people use, where they can do benchmarking with DISC assessments. Do you remember what that's like?
What, the instrument, or?
Yeah.
No, it's been a while since I've looked at it.
All right. So what happens is you find somebody who's good at that particular job.
Oh, that's right.
You give them the assessment, And now that creates a benchmark where it measures different skills, it measures different strengths. It says, hey, this is what you're looking for. And then as you're trying to hire somebody for that particular position, you give them the assessment and you see, do you have the strengths and the skills that we're looking for?
Yeah.
And there are DISC benchmark assessments out there, along with interview guides that go with that help you figure out, is this candidate going to be the right person for this particular role?
Yeah, the key to all of that, though, is you also have to make sure that you are identifying the actual skills that are necessary, that are really needed in that position. One of the things that I have noticed with some employers is they will just load in everything they can think of that somebody might do for a position. And the problem you have is then you're going to have people that are going to look at it and go, well, I don't have that. I don't have that. I don't have that. And they may be actually the perfect person for your position. So that's one of the things that, you need to pay attention to when you are looking for people to bring onto your boat. Make sure that you know very precisely what those key characteristics, those key things that they need to have experience in doing. Don't just throw stuff in there for the sake of throwing it in, because again, the problem is you're gonna drive off some potentially very good people who could help your organization. So get very clear. That's one of those things. Narrow that down. What does this person really need to do? Because that drives me nuts. I see that where I'll see a job listing and they'll have 40 things listed.
Yeah.
And you start reading the list and you're going, this doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Why do they need to know how to do half of these things?
Yeah.
And, and like I said, most people are going to look at that and go, well, yeah, I can't do that. So I'm not even going to bother to apply there.
And you also have the other end of the spectrum where they'll look at it and say, well, some of this stuff I can do, and they'll apply. And it may not necessarily be some of the stuff that you really want them to be able to do.
That's exactly right. Make sure you get very clear about that. What is it that you really, truly need them to do? Don't make it, so narrow that you're really missing out, or so broad that, again, you're just going to have good people say, I'm not going to apply there. Especially, like I said, when you're throwing in things that just don't make much sense. It just seems like extras. There's a lot of people going to say, I don't think I even want to work for that company.
Right.
They're asking for somebody who is capable of doing way too many things. When the reality is, when it comes to hiring people, putting them in your boat, you need specialists.
Yeah.
You need people who know precisely what it is you need for them to do. Well, they can't do that if you don't precisely know what it is you need for them to do.
Yeah. All right. So when you are filling your boat, when you are forming your team, when you're adding to your team, like we said, DISC can be helpful. If somebody out there wanted more information about DISC, if somebody out there wanted to talk about and figure out how can I best grow my team, what could they do?
They could contact us.
They could contact us. And how can they do that?
Well, there's a multitude of ways, as you just put up there. There's phone number 412-420-7975. Give us a call. Yeah. Believe it or not, we'll answer. And we'll actually have a real conversation with words coming out of our mouths. It's weird. I know people don't do that anymore, but we'll do that because we're just that kind of people. If you don't like talking, and some people are like that, text us, same number, 412-420-7975. You can also send us an email, info@ateagueofyourown.com.
Yep.
You can also contact us through our website, ateagueofyourown.com. Hey, that's kind of neat that matches. Yep. We're also on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and we have a YouTube channel. All of these videos that we have ever done for Motivational Mondays are on there. Feel free to go in and browse them. And when you visit us on any of our social media, like us and subscribe if you would, please.
Yep. Please follow us. Yes.
Yes, please follow.
Appreciate it. All right. So like I said at the beginning, register for our webinar. That's going to be at the end of the month, at the end of this week, this coming Friday. It is developing the leaders around you. Great topic. complimentary webinar, go to the website, click on the events tab. The link's in there for you to register, and we hope to see you then. Otherwise, we will see you next Monday. Bye, everyone.